we spoke about the functions. And if you remember, the function must return some value. It must return in the result variable. So inside the function, we usually make some calculations or find something. So we make some task implementation of the task inside the function. And inside the result variable, we store the results of these calculations. So this result will be returned, and we must say what type of this result will be. Here in this example, it is Boolean type, so it is logical. It means that it will be true or false. Yes, true or false. It will be depend on calculations and on entering parameters. So it will return true or false. And here we have two parameters, two of them, n integer and k integer. So we could do it together. Yes, it will be the similar as we had, as we would have this one, n comma k colon integer. Because they are the same, they have the same type, so we could do it this way. And but we did it like here, and it is the same. So it is not an error, but it is the same. Okay, here we have some calculations, and usually we must call the function in our main program. Here we have main program. It starts at line number 14, begin of the main program. And here we must ask user to input the values for n, r, and for k. Yes, we must enter the values. It will be integer. And we are going to pass in these parameters when we call our function. So we call this function using its name, the name of the function. We must call it inside main program and to pass these parameters, n and k. So for example, if user inputs, for example, 3, and here it will input, for example, 4. So n will be 3 and k will be 4. And here they will be replaced. The n will be replaced, or just it will be stored. N will be equals to 3 and k will be equals to 4. But here it is local variables. If you remember, we also learned about local and global variables, yes? So it will be local here. And here it's just, we must repeat n times, 3 times, this body loop. We must repeat it. So we will input some integer numbers, and we will understand if this number, entered numbers, is equal to k, to 4. Yes. If it is equal to 4, we are going to return true. And to make a break, to break out of the loop. Yes. So we need just to return true if number is equals to k. So we have 4, for example. So it's just the example how the function works. And we see that here we can use the Boolean type of the resulting examples of the function. Result of the function can be Boolean. Yes. So it's just a small revision. And also we talked about assert statement. It's very important when we test, when we try to check the input values. We must understand if the input values is good, values are good or not good. It means that if we ask, for example, in this program, in this problem, we ask to input x and y, and they must be positive, so they must be greater than 0. If they are not greater than 0, the program will have an error. And we don't want to have an error in our program. So we must check if entered number is greater than 0. And usually we do it inside the main program or inside a procedure or function. Here we have the example how to do it in procedure, inside procedure. We have procedure, it has the name, and it doesn't matter the parameters, just we want to show that we must check the parameters using this assert statement. So assert statement must return true. So if it returns true, nothing will happen. The program will continue. If it returns false, it is not good. So it means that input value was invalid. And we must usually we must return some to show some message to user. So please input a positive number, for example. And we can do it here after this parenthesis. We must put colon, and then inside quotations we must put please enter positive, enter, or just x is greater than 0. Yes. And then we close parentheses and then semicolon. So it must be here inside this parentheses. Just the message in this case, if this x was not greater than 0. So inside your programs, almost every program must include this assert statement.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Kasim.
May I ask a question after you finish, please?
Okay. If we have in our program some function, here we have in this example, we have function is digit. This function checks number is a digit or it's a number of 2 digits or 3 digits. It must return true if the number is 1 digit, only 1 digit. So we have a short definition here. You see, we have a short definition. So without body, our function without body, just this part of the function, it is a body of the function, yes? So we just assigned it to our function. So the function will return true if entered number is greater than 0 and less than 9. And we must check the function if it is correct or the algorithm of the function is not correct. To do it, we must use procedure. We must use this procedure to test the function. The procedure name starts with test, and then we add this name of the function. Yes, test is digit. It means that procedure will check if this is digit function is correct or it is not correct. How can we do it? We must use assert statements. Here we use the loop, but not always we must use the loop. It's just here we can use the loop, but not always. And here inside the loop, we have assert. We call this function, we must call this function, and to pass some parameters to check if this function works or not. How to check? If the parameters from 0 to 9, it must return true, because this condition must be true. So if it returns true, if it is really so, if it returns true, so nothing will happen and our program will continue. But if it returns false, so it is not correct. Something wrong is here inside this function. So we must output this message and to stop our program. So in this case, if it is not true, so it will be shown, this message will be shown, and we will have this the finish. Our program will be finished. Inside the main program, we must we must call this procedure to test our function. And if everything is correct, so the program will be continued. And if it is not correct, so we will have this message. And just imagine that it is correct, and it is correct. So we input some parameters. We must check if the parameters is correctly input. So it is input validation. So n must be greater or equals to. Must check it also. Yes, so we need to use this assert statement. And after it, here we have some loop just to call this function inside the loop. But it is not important to use the loop. It's just for this exactly, for this particular task. Not always we need this loop. Yes. But always we need to test our function, to call this procedure. Always we need to do it. And always we must call the function in our main program. Okay, so it's just the revision of, and it was in task number 2. Yes, task number 2. So you had it. But here I see that you have not correct results of the function. The function doesn't work, even function. And procedure is also incorrect. Because do you remember that procedure must have the name? It is better to have test and the name of our function. Test, and here we must have is 2-digit, yes. And here inside the procedure, always we must have assert statements. Yes, assert, and we must call our function inside this assert statement because we need to test it, to test this function. So how to do it? We can use this assert statement, and we must use different numbers to check. For example, positive number. Let's do it 56, and it must return
5 and 6.
It must return it is 2-digit, yes, 2 digits, 5 and 6. So it must return true, equals to true, yes. If it will not return true, we must put some message. For example, test is not correct. Test is not correct. So it was something wrong, yes. Some message to understand for programmer that the function does not work. You can put here the function does not work. It will be also good. And some more assert statements. The first we checked if it is true. So for example, if we have 5, just 5, it is not 2 digits. Yes, so it must return false. False. And if we have, for example, negative minus 56, it must return true. Yes, because it has 2 digits. And in the main program, we must call this procedure. So here we have your main program. We must call this procedure because we need to check if the function works correctly. And after this, we have this, please enter 2-digit number. and we need to read it, to enter it. And here we don't need to use assert. Yes, we don't need to use it here because we have it in our procedure. So here we must call our function and just to pass in this x. So, and I don't know what is it here. I don't know. It's just from different programs. I think you just gathered here some different programs. So we need to call this function. It is to digit, yes, is to digit, and to pass in x. And before it, just to put some message, for example, result. And here we have the call of our function. But you have incorrect function. I just tell it to you because here we have this assert is not true. Function must return true or false. And but you have something something strange here. Yes. How can we understand if the number is two-digit number? How can we understand it?
Or it's bigger, actually n mod 10, not n mod 100.
And even not mod 10,
Okay,
just it must
bigger
have,
than 9. Number is bigger than 9.
yes, bigger than 9 and less than
100.
Yes, so let's
I
do
did
it.
actually put, I don't know what's wrong. I did this correct yesterday. It was working, trust me.
I don't trust you. I don't
Trust me,
believe
I know
you.
what I'm telling you because I did yesterday. I had a problem understanding. Then I asked Emir then about this 1 to 9. And he said to me that I thought that no, I can't do it like this because we need something like mode or dev, like something like this. No, he said no. I asked the teacher and she said no, it's correctly fine, no problem using it like this. So I did it with dev 10, dev and mode. I still did not do it with 1 and 9. So I'm sure it was corrected like what I did yesterday. But I had like a lot of problems. I think I missed some of them together. Like I mixed them or something. I don't know what happened.
I believe you, but something.
You can ask Emir actually.
Okay, so we have this, yes, if, and we need to use absolute value of the number, yes, because if it will be minus, we must understand that it must return true, yes. If we don't have absolute number, so it will return false. So we must how, okay, so if it is greater than 9, and it is less than 100, it will be two-digit number, yes? So now we can run this program. And we have something more, неверное количество процедур. Of course. We have the procedure without parameters. We don't need here parameters at all. Usually, test procedure don't have parameters. Usually, it doesn't have parameters. Yes, so just without parameters because we don't need them. Okay, and please enter two-digit number. For example, it will be 48 or 38. True, because it will be true. Yes, it's two-digit. And let's try just one-digit number. False. So it is correct. And it will be correct because we tested it. We tested it in different ways. Yes, we tried two-digit number, we tried one-digit number, and we tried negative number. We can try 0, for example. Just some values to try different cases. So you must understand that the function, just a regular function we have here, yes, just a regular, but it is a short definition of the function, but it doesn't matter. After the function, we usually have the procedure to test this function. its name must be test and the name of the function. Inside this procedure, we use assert statements, some of them, usually not one, but some of them, yes, to test different cases for our function. And we must put what this function must return with these or that parameters. And we must put some messages if it will not return what we are going to expect from it. And inside the main program, we must call the procedure first. And after it, usually we enter some parameters and we call our function. We have the message for the result and call our function with this entered parameter. And that's all. Usually the structure of the program must be as this one.